Come on. Seriously. I bet hardly any of you expected 2 death guns. Okay? I mean, I bet no one expected 2 death guns. I bet everybody thought Death Gun was killing someone with his actual handgun in the series of Gun Gale Online. I bet everybody thought that. It was obvious. It was leading towards that. But no, it went deeper than that. There's actually another death gun that is giving people a syringe to cause heart failure. And it's just some form of drug that could stop your heart. So how do you feel about that? I'm curious how many Chibits actually feel about this entire plot twist, you know, with finding out that there's 2 death guns, 1 death gun has to break into the house and properly kill the person at the right time alongside when the person gets shot in Gun Gale Online. That right there is really intriguing because the entire cross bit, when you saw Death Gun doing the cross, it was actually to check the time to make sure he would time it up with whenever the syringe should be inserted into someone. And I felt like the way they portrayed it in this episode had a lot more impact than the light novel in certain senses. Now, I just want to bring up something real quick. I noticed they kind of fucked up in this episode and they did not explain it right, which is kind of obvious because they really couldn't do it right since SAO1 kind of ruined the entire, notion of what they were trying to do in this episode. For instance, the entire bit where you had Kirito and Shion, mention about the binoculars and all that, with how you can look at someone's personal information if you're far off. Well, in SAO1, Asuna, to escape from the tower birdcage she was locked in, she had to look at the passcode. You remember that asshole dude, the Fairy King, had to put in that, passcode to leave, and Asuna had to see what it was? Well, the only way you could see the passcode is if you were either right next to the person behind them, or if you're looking through a mirror backwards. If you're for instance, if I had a mirror right here and I was looking through a mirror, okay, and it was right in front of me and you're behind me and you're putting in your information, well, I could see your stuff, no matter how far you are. It was a glitch in SAO. It was an actual glitch in SAO Asuna used to escape from the tower in Fairy Dance. So Kirito already knew about this glitch, and he instantly realized that's how Death Gun was able to find out each individual person's information, even if he wasn't behind them. So I felt like the entire way they kind of translated that was fucked up a little bit, and it would kind of confuse a lot of people, because the way I saw it in my translations, it stated that, oh, that'd be very rude if you were to use binoculars or a rifle to look at the personal information. So no. That's the proper translation from the light novels. The reason why Death Gun was able to get information was because he was able to look through a mirror reflection to be able to see, because there was no distance range between the personal information. That's actually something I want to bring up. For instance, there is a distance range between the personal information on the kiosk or whatever, okay? So if I was let's say 20 feet back, no matter if I had binoculars or whatever, I could not see that information. But if you were to look through a mirror, you could see it clear as day. Okay? Well, we're on the same page now. That's what they kind of fucked up with the translations episode. Most likely it could either be a translation error or I don't know. But either way, I just wanted to say that in case if anyone was confused on that. So, the episode, the entire bit with how we find out that the second Death Gun, this other Death Gun, is in Shion's apartment. He is probably sitting right next to her, holding a fucking syringe right next to her, sitting in a chair cross-legged like this, and, he's probably holding a syringe like, I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna stab you with this syringe. I bet that's exactly what he's doing. So, you gotta think about this real quick. A murderer, a killer, is right next to Shion in her own apartment. So, she is not safe. She may look safe, but she is not safe, because the murderer is literally sitting, right next to her, standing right next to her. How do you feel about that? I mean, how would you feel if you were in a virtual reality game, and you're playing, okay, and we're talking right now, and all of a sudden, I tell you, you have a murderer standing right next to your real body in the real world, okay? How would you feel? And you knew it was true. How would you feel about that? How fucking scared would you be? And I like the concept of this episode, the way they actually inserted the, heart rate rising in this. I love how they added that scene. It was a really good scene, and it definitely had a lot more impact, I think, than the actual light novels. My heart was pumping. I'm like, holy shit, this is getting good. So they did a good job with expressing the emotions and feels that Shion was currently feeling in that moment, because she is terrified as fuck, because she has a murderer literally in her apartment, either sitting, eating her food, or whatever. I mean, you don't know what this dude or girl or whoever could be in her apartment doing. So you gotta think about that. What is this person doing in Shion's apartment? She has to worry about that too. I mean, you can easily do anything you want. So, a lot of crazy things going down in this episode of SAO 2. A lot of good stuff. I know how some people are probably going to complain that once again, there's no action, and I just want to see nothing but action, sword fights, gun fights. I want to see people beat the shit out of each other. I know there's going to be stuff like that once again. I see it a lot. But the episode was good. It once again retains more emotions to the entire bit with Shion as a character. It's making her character become almost full circle again. You're starting to see, her character liven up a lot more. She's still trying to overcome the entire bit with her tragic past of shooting someone. And then we find out that, Kirito has not gotten past, killing people also, because he mentions to Shion that I had a dream the night before, and I kept remembering over and over the people I shot and killed, or, cut up and killed. So yeah, I mean, overall, this episode was very important. And the scene with the government official, I know there's going to be some people say that's boring, but actually, that scene right there, that scene has a lot of meaning later on. Maybe not to this arc, but later on. I'm actually shocked they're willing to show scenes like that in Gun Gale Online. What that proves to me, when they show scenes with the government official, is that they're not rushing things. They're definitely not rushing things, that they're willing to actually show scenes like that kind of are not that big of importance yet. They're not. But for them to show his character, that's a good sign. It's a very good sign. I'm just going to say that right now. It's a very, very good sign. So, judging by the way the pacing of this has been, judging by the pacing of this episode in the past couple episodes, and judging by how it's been adapted pretty much flawlessly. It's been really good. Of course, there's, like I said, constantly, they're cutting out just a little bit of inner monologues, but they're replacing it with animation to explain the themes and feels. So, the reason why there's no inner monologues is because of the animation, the way they portray it with the character's body movement. So, they're doing a good job there. But, judging by the way the pacing is and all that, and the time, the way they're doing it, most likely, I give Gun Gale Online's, Battle of Bullets probably 2 more episodes, and this arc is done. About 2 more episodes at maximum, and it's done. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see exactly where they're going to go next. Next arc is going to be Caliber, so I'm going to look forward to that one. Anyways, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.